I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. Put in the chat if you can, because my shit is always not very great. I'm an old man with this stuff here. But anywho, Skeleton Crew episode 3 came out. I believe it had a complicated title name. I don't know if you've noticed if you looked at the titles for some of these episodes. It's a little it's a little lengthy. I mean, they got a lot to say there apparently. Um I like this episode. I mean, Funnel Cake saying this week was mid. Pff, I like it. I think this is a solid show so far. Um I'm not complaining. I really am not. I think the directing for the series is solid. The writing is simple but easy to follow, of course. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. Once again, let me know if you can hear me though, because I don't even see my little ticker going off. Give me one sec. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm chilling. Don't know why my little thing's not showing up though. I don't know what happened to Star Wars only here. Um, Yeah, look at that. It's just a blank screen. How disappointing. At least you got some B-roll going from me. Told you I'm not very good with this technology and shit. Gus said he enjoyed it. I'm with you, brother. I thought this was a fucking banger series so far. Um, throw that word out a little lightly, I guess, but maybe it's not a banger, but it's very solid. This is a very solid series and it's consistent. And that's what I like about it because after the first two episodes, if we're just going off of recent history, watching the first two episodes of The Acolyte, they felt connected. They really did because it was directed by Leslie Headland and the episodes synced in with each other seamlessly. And then you get to episode 3 of The Acolyte and you're like, "What the hell is this?" Because it's such a detraction from what you saw in the first two episodes. So with this series, episode 3, it felt like a solid continuation of what we had already seen before and what we saw in the first two episodes. You start off on Port Borgo. Well, I actually think they started out the episode on at Aden with the parents and everything reacting to their kids basically going off to in a completely different space. And this episode is really big on explaining the situation to you a little bit more with that owl looking creature lady thing, whatever her name is, Kim, I think, short for a complicated ass name. I'm quite confident. Um, but you learn a lot about at Aden, and you learn that the Old Republic is a big key to all of this. Jar Jar is the key to all of this. But the Old Republic has some significance going on here. And what Kim explains is that the Old Republic had these treasure planets, basically. I don't know if it was like 6 or 7 of them, and they were so like treasurish, I guess. I mean, they were so like perfect or whatever. They had so much jewels and everything, like and wonders to them that they're like the 8 wonders of the world that we have here. Or is it 7 now? But anywho, they destroyed these planets. I don't know who, but I'm sure that's going to be a plot line to explore in the future by exploring the past. But the only planet that survived all this destruction was at Aten, the planet that these kids are from. So whoever is running at Aten knows this is a very special planet. These kids do not know about the fall of the Jedi, I guess, or at least the war with the Empire and everything like that. The planet itself, like the father of Wim, he still knows about the Republic, but I don't think it's the Republic that we know, that we know as the New Republic now. They might think of it as just the Republic that had always been the old Republic and everything. So this episode really did explore the plot a little bit more in a very meaningful way, while also following these kids and their journey with Jod and everything like that. So it hits all the right beats. And I was so happy that Carson Teva did not show up in those X-Wings. That was one thing I was so nervous about when they came in. I was like, "Oh my god, are we going to do another Cameo City series here where Dave Filoni's like, it'd be great if Carson Teva actually showed up in that X-Wing thing right there." And he didn't. So I was very happy about that. But let me know your thoughts in the chat and everything. I really enjoyed the episode, but I wish it was longer. It did feel a little short when it got to the end. It's clear what they're trying to do with the series right now, which is you have episodic Saturday morning cartoons. Same thing that you had with The Mandalorian, where around episode 4, 5, and 6 of season one, people started going, wait, what are we doing here? Because we're not really following the plot that I thought we were following. 4, 5, and 6 were like him going to Tatooine, him going to well, God, what was that other one with the prison with Bill Burr and all that stuff. And there was another one in there that I know I'm missing in season one. Oh, the one with Cara Dune. All these little episodes are kind of like little side missions for Mando, and you had that in season two as well. That's basically what the Mandalorian series has been, and it works. And it's clear they're kind of doing that with Skeleton Crew. Where next episode, episode four, we're gonna see them go off on another kind of mission. They're gonna probably get bombarded by pirates or something like that, or they're going to have to refuel somewhere, or the ship is going to kind of fall apart because it is falling apart and everything. Like they have to get to Aden, but it's going to take all season long, basically. So I have an interest in the show, but I can definitely see what they're trying to do here. And I think that's why these episodes are not very long, is that they are intentionally structuring this in a way that it does feel episodic, that each episode can stand on its own and be kind of a unique, fun adventure and everything. The great work, Gus is asking, what are your thoughts on what is going on with Ad involving the great work? I think they know that the planet has what Kim was saying, a treasure to it. It is a mystery of the world. It was a mystery of the old republic. And the credits, even the kids were kind of going, this might be a part of it. And that's what I like, is that the kids are us, the audience. It's us kind of being kids again, where you're asking these questions. Well, what does my dad actually do at work? He's an analyst. What does he analyze anyways? Who is the supervisor that we're talking about here? Like, what are we taking these assessments for? Why can't we leave at Aden? What do you mean there's thousands of other planets? Like, there is something going on to limit their exposure to the galaxy and to history and to the world, basically. And you've seen that in a lot of media before, and you're seeing it again with this series. And I think the way they're going about it, with at least being the kids being naive on the whole situation, makes more sense. Where maybe the adults, like all the parents that you saw at the beginning of the episode, maybe all of them know what's really going on, but they don't want to really know what's going on. They don't want to say like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. We're living a great life, kind of thing. You'll understand it when you get older. You even hear Jod say that. So I think that there's a treasure there, and that's why Jod wants to get there. But I think the reward is not going to be what he thinks it is. I think there's going to be something to that planet worth preserving, and that maybe just be a big pile of old Republic credits that they can constantly mine, or they use the gas around them or whatever to turn into old Republic coins that are mint condition and everything like that. But that's another big question too with Jod's character. One second. Sorry, I had a sip of water, and I don't want to do that in your ear. Um, Jod is definitely not a Jedi, and he kind of reveals that at the end. He's like, I didn't really say I was or wasn't a Jedi, and I think that is proof of what I've been saying, is that he wasn't a Jedi. He's not a Sith. He's just someone who can use the Force. And maybe he did learn a trick or two over the years or from someone else. I really don't think he has any Jedi training. We haven't really seen him in a fight yet. So I think there's a lot to be explored with this character. But I like that you're getting what you're almost expecting of Kim saying, yeah, he's a scoundrel. He's going to betray you. This guy is a jerk and everything like that. She betrayed him immediately. And I like that the kids don't really pick a side with it. I mean, they go with Jod, and I think they have a intrinsic trust in him, knowing that he's not being forthright with what he wants and everything. But I that works for the character. It makes sense. He's a scoundrel. And another thing they revealed is that he was the old captain. That was a big speculation going in to episode three after episodes 1 and 2. Is was he the captain from the very first episode? Well, he was, and that's a great thing about this show compared to the Acolyte, which yet again is the most recent show that we've seen, is that the Acolyte had the same mystery and the same questions throughout all 8 episodes. And it kind of kept asking you the same thing. And you finally got an answer, but it was what you already expected of, yes, Soul did kill the mother, and the Jedi wiped him out. But I mean, were they really wrong? Like, why did you take 8 episodes to explain that to us? You don't have that with this show. Skeleton Crew so far is introducing a mystery in the first 2 episodes and solving a good chunk of it in episode three, giving you just a bit of information to not only keep you intrigued, but there's still more mystery of, okay, now we know Aden is an old Republic planet with a treasure on it, and the other planets were destroyed, but all the planets were hidden. These are crown jewels of the Old Republic, and because of that, they wanted to hide it on star maps and everything. That's pretty big. That's pretty deep, and that's very lore expanding. That's stuff I've always wanted. Yet it does not answer. Well, what's really going on at Aladdin? What is the great work and all that stuff? So I think there's a lot of great pacing in this series so far. I reckon Wim's mother may have escaped the planet. That's an interesting thought. I think she's dead. I think she's dead. I think she probably knew something and she's dead. You think the pirate captain from the intro? Oh, he's the pirate. Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I highly believe, and I think they basically confirmed with that one guy when Jod was getting SM-33. He comes in and he's like, "Oh, hey, Captain." I can't remember the captain name he had, but Kim calls him Crimson Jack. It's a little on the nose with the Captain Jack Sparrow stuff, but you know what? It's a pirate Star Wars show. Jack's a common name. I'll give you that. His name is Jod, a Jack, Crimson Jack. It's not Captain Jack, but it sounds like Captain Jack. Let's not lie to us here. But yeah, no, he's 100% the pirate from the opening scene where they raid the Republic, the New Republic ship, and then take like one piece of gold credit, and then Boris, the wolf-looking pirate who's in charge now, locks him up and everything like that. I don't think they knew he had force abilities. And I even like what he said to the kids where they it's those questions that you would have as an audience member. Well, why did you wait to escape until we showed up? You could have done that at any time. And he goes, "Well, I didn't really have a ship to escape on, did I? I mean, what would be the point?" You didn't get that kind of stuff in The Last Jedi when Benicio del Toro, escapes with Finn and what's her fucking name? Rose Tico. How did I forget? When Finn and Rose escape, he just wakes up right then and there and is like, "Oh yeah, I guess now's a good time to show you that I'm the master hacker and everything like that." There's no question to that. There's not a moment where they go, "Well, hey, Juan, why did you let us escape? Like, why would you do it right now?" Skeleton Crew, because of decent writing, which is surprising because I really did doubt the creators for the show going into this, explain that immediately. Hey, why did you help us escape? Like you could have done that anytime. Well, I didn't have a ship. Now, did I? All right, hell, you got a good point. That's logical and rational, and it's something a real person would say. So I think the writing is a lot better than I was going to give it credit for. It's becoming one of my favorite Star Wars shows. Maybe a Padawan that didn't pass the trials. I don't know. He doesn't have the morality of a Jedi Padawan, in my opinion. I don't think Jod had almost any training at all. I think he's kind of learned on his own over the years, and that's really it. Yeah, I think this episode is really good. Um, our unit says, I like how the episode answered questions that we had from the last one, how he's using the force, why he never escaped, and we learned more about. And yeah, and that's what I was saying is like it is paced perfectly where it's not over explaining. You don't know everything, and Jude Law even says you get all the answers to his character in episode 7. But look at the answers we just got in this recent episode, episode 3. It was a short 40-minute, which really means like 30 to 35-minute episode. And you see him, you know, doing nothing really, walking around the ship, just kind of being himself. But you also learn from Kim that he is a scoundrel. He might be a little bit of a backstabber himself and everything like that. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Thank you very much for the super chat, Binya. He says, "Will the tie to Ray's mother to Fern's mother? Will they tie Ray's mother to Fern's mother? That would be insane. There's a mystery that Farrah knows more than we think. I 100% think that the adults for sure know a lot more than what they're giving on, especially the one who went to the school. I think it is Farrah, the mother of Fern, which makes sense because of the name. Duh. But anyways, I think she knows more, but she is still not the most powerful person there. Clearly, she talks to the droid saying that I want what is she, an appeal to see the supervisor or something like that. So the supervisor knows something's going on, and even with the kids leaving, they're like, "Nah, you're not gonna go get your kids. They're gone. They're out of here." Because it's impossible to find that planet. Apparently, no one knows where it's at. That's kind of insane. It's not like the Camino thing where someone removed it from the archives. This is a planet that has never been found because the Old Republic hid it intentionally. So I think there's a plot going on by the adults, at least, kind of like code names Kids Next Door, where you got the kids who don't know everything and the adults who kind of do, and they're kind of keeping stuff from the kids and all that stuff. That was a great show. This show is going for that as well. The kids don't know anything. They suspect nothing, and they really don't know anything in the grand scheme of life and the galaxy and the real world. But the adults know a little bit to go, yeah, this planet is special and we need to keep it that way. And the kids don't need to find out why. So I think it's very, very, very well done. Fun fact, in the Clone Wars box episode, one of the characters was named Kiera Swan, a reference to Keira Knightley, who was in Pirates of the Caribbean and was in the Phantom Menace. God, those Pirates of the Caribbean movies are absolute bangers. I absolutely love them. So glad you're back. Only the Star Wars YouTube community has been in chaos. And you know what's funny? You know what I've noticed since my return? There's been a couple other Star Wars channels that have returned. You guys noticed that? A couple people here and there that are posting videos they hadn't really seen in a while, and people talking about the same thing I'm talking about. It doesn't really feel that good to be a Star Wars fan anymore. I'm just saying that clearly my return has sent ripples through the fandom. And like I said, doesn't it just feel so empty without me? And it did. It did. So I'm glad to be back. We're starting this grind together, my friends. Crimson Jack pretty much confirmed to be Silvo from the premiere. When the kids and Jack were escaping, the other pirates shouted that Silvo has escaped. Am I saying that right? Silvo or Silvio? That's what I would want to say. Yeah, no, like I said, I 100%. That's him. That's him. He was the pirate in the beginning, and he even says to the former mate that he had, I have one big score. This one's finally gonna pay off. He's like Jimmy from Better Call Saul. It's very reminiscent of that great show. I wonder who the supervisor will be. I think that's gonna be a big one too. I think it might be like a secret thing from really the old Republic, like the Republic that we saw in the prequels and everything that fell. I think there might be kind of like a real world, like Area 51 S4 kind of stuff, where like, yeah, there's the government, and then there's the people like deep in the government who get the real funds, the real stuff, and hide the real truth that even the chancellor doesn't know. I think that would be an interesting plot to follow for the Old Republic. I think if the Old Republic always had this like one little spot in the galaxy they kept tucked away just because of whatever vast resource that it has or whatever mystery it's got going on to it. I think they I think it's a cool idea that they had that tucked away. Or even if the Empire was doing something like this, where this is the Empire, like you find out the supervisor is one of like the Shadow Council people from was it season 3 of The Mandalorian? I think that would be an interesting twist too, because then it would be the Empire trying to figure out, well, how do we really reshape the galaxy, change people's history of things, and control everything and make it seem like a beautiful and loving paradise, because it is, but you don't know what went into making this. The billions of people and the Jedi who had to die to get this stuff going. I think this could be a very interesting twist. I hope they do it right, and I hope it is honestly jaw dropping. I honestly hope this twist, the way the show is paced so far and the way it's written, I think they could have a very satisfying twist at the end. Skeleton Crew is 100% better than the Acolyte. I mean, oh my god, it is night and day so far, just with the tone, even the shots and everything. Like there was a lot of shots in this that I thought were beautiful, where they're walking and you see the gas planet behind them with that like crazy swirl going on. That looked gorgeous. It's clearly very reminiscent of the 80s style kids show and movie that was very intentional. We've all known that, but it's working. I was thinking when I was watching this episode is, man, this could have released right after the original trilogy back in like 1986. If they waited 3 years after the Return of the Jedi to end to make a Star Wars series, and this was the first thing that came, I think it would feel very natural to Star Wars. To me, Skeleton Crew, what I really like about this so far as well is that it does feel like a self-contained story. It's not really dealing too much with Skywalkers and the Sith and the Jedi and the galaxy. This is a story about these kids going on a cool little adventure and everything. It's separate enough while still pertaining to what's going on in the Star Wars canon that it is a good series. It is a good show. It's a nice to have a little spin-off story here or there that is good and is interesting. You don't need to have it just be about the Jedi and the Sith all the time. I mean, they don't even do the Jedi versus Sith anymore. I mean, oh, but they did in the Acolyte. Darth Plagueis was there for 3 seconds. Fuck you. Let's see. Have you checked out Arcane yet? It's not Star Wars, but it's good. Look, I watched part of the first season. I think I watched a couple episodes of it. Uh, it's fine. I'm not a big fan of the animation. You know, it's just I don't know. I couldn't really get into it. Honest question here: is Skeleton generally a good Star Wars show? I think it is so far, or is it being loved by fans because we had bad Star Wars shows recently and bad Star Wars news? I 100% see where you're coming from with that. And I actually think that's a bad symptom in the fandom. I think it's been happening for a while. And I think you've seen that with Ahsoka and Kenobi, where people are saying, like, oh, these shows are actually pretty good. And it's like, they're not. You're saying that because of all the other Star Wars stuff is bad. It's been my argument for a long time that Star Wars fans do accept mediocrity and are just content with anything. And if it's something like this that's a little better than what we've seen before, it's just, oh, it's good because it was better than what came before. I would argue, though, at least from the first 3 episodes, if the series stays as consistently good as these 3 episodes, I would go and argue that it is actually better than most of the Star Wars shows that we've seen. I would give it number three. I would have like Andor and Mandalorian, not in any order, above this show clearly, but this would be my number three. If it stays this good up to the episode 8 season finale and everything like that, this will be one of the best Star Wars shows we've seen in a very long time because the first 3 episodes are more charming, fun, adventurous, and enjoyable, in my opinion, than the first 3 episodes of Book of Boba Fett, the first 3 episodes of Ahsoka, first 3 episodes of The Acolyte, first 3 episodes of Kenobi. I mean, all the other live action shows, except for Mandalorian and Andor, are not as good as this series, in my opinion. So I understand this reservation here and this fear of what's happening in the fandom, but I do believe this show is actually standing on its own merit and not anything else pertaining to the rest of the Star Wars universe and galaxy and the culture war we've been having going on. If there was a SWTOR show, they should get the OG riders with the helmet. No, 100%. Um, there was so many talks about them doing Old Republic stuff years ago, and it's never really came to fruition. When they were walking the moon, how were they able to breathe? Was there some sort of barrier, or is it one of those because it's Star Wars moments? I thought the exact same thing. When that happened, I was like, "Huh, is this a suspension of disbelief kind of situation?" It is a question. I don't know if they're going to explain it or not, and they don't really have to. But that's what I thought as well when they were walking off the ship right onto the moon. I was like, okay, so does have oxygen? I guess the gravity's strong enough from the gas planet nearby where you don't really need any. I mean, because that's the thing is with Han and Leia and Chewbacca in Episode 5 on Empire Strikes Back when they're on that asteroid inside the mouth of that creature, they have to have the mask on to go outside because you are basically in space. It's kind of how I thought it would be with this moon, but hey, I mean, maybe it has oxygen. I don't see how. It didn't really seem to have like an atmosphere, but maybe there's little. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like the whole, oh well, it's just Star Wars, so that's why it's like that explanation for things that people tend to do. I think it's lazy. But I did question this the entire time. Um, by the way, I felt the Bad Batch was the biggest nothing burger as it didn't offer anything engaging, like no clone or clone civil between Rex and Cody. Yeah, I have been on that train for a while now. Since season 1, I've said the Bad Batch was kind of a waste of a series, an opportunity, and everything. I think they've accidentally milked the prequels dry now too. If you really think about it, I was thinking about this earlier today. We've talked about for years now with the new Disney canon starting in like 2012 that, or was it 2013? But I think it was 2012 or 2013. But they basically said, hey, we're doing our like a straight canon line, and all these books are going to be part of the Star Wars canon. They milked the original trilogy canon so dry, you don't really want anything else to do with it anymore. But now they've done that with the prequels because you had the Clone Wars, and then you had Kenobi and everything, and like stuff that kind of adds to it. And then you have something like the Bad Batch was kind of after the prequels, but the last hallmark of it, really, the last little hoorah of the prequels. It was kind of a disappointing into an era, honestly. And I think Disney or Lucasfilm, whatever you want to call them at this point, has probably realized by now that, damn, not only have we ran out of nostalgia of the original trilogy, we've also ran out of nostalgia for the prequel trilogy. How many times are you going to bring Hayden Christensen back? I mean, really, like how many times are you gonna bring Hayden Christensen back to do stuff? So yeah, I think the Bad Batch was bad. I think it was a very disappointing series. I honestly think it's worse than Rebels, and I really don't like Rebels at all. But yeah, it is not a very good series, and it's not going to age well, and it didn't age well. And the viewership from the small sample that we have seen is abysmal. I mean, oh my gosh, it's crazy. It was Jude Law's force bubble giving them oxygen. I'll buy that. Fuck it. Don't make me die. Yeah, no, I 100% buy that. Yeah, let me take a sip of water. If you think about it, in all the movies, they just land on planets and never have to worry about if the air is breathable. LOL. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I'll offer you this. This is where you get into the nerdy shit. Where's my fucking nicotine pen? I gotta do this to stop smoking cigarettes. Don't smoke cigarettes, people. They're bad for you. Speaking of breathing, I think it's pretty clear most of these planets have an atmosphere to them. And some of them, you saw in the Clone Wars on the Umbar arc. Am I saying that right? Or Umbara, whatever that night planet was with the guys with the mask and everything like that. There's something to not every planet having an atmosphere. I even remember in Clone Wars them going on moons, and I remember Hayden, not Hayden, fucking Anakin having a little helmet on for space and everything. So clearly, you do need an atmosphere to breathe and start. Like that one, I will kind of go, all right, you got to stick to some kind of ground here. You got to have some base of, all right, what are the ground rules with this? I understand it's Star Wars, and I'm not trying to nitpick that. Like that is the only, I guess, nitpick I would have had for Episode 3 of Skeleton Crew is are they really just walking around in space, just breathing like nothing? Like even in Ahsoka, which came out like last year, she had a helmet when she went into space and did her little flips and tricks and shit. Did you guys see my Ahsoka video today? What did you guys think about that? You like the fact that I say I'm done with Ahsoka? You guys done with her too? Yeah. What do you think about that? Have they ever said there's oxygen in Star Wars? No, I don't think they have. How about provide bathrooms in every starship in Star Wars? They're called refrigerated swine. Okay, Rebels specifically said that, and even um, the blue guy with the gills in Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 and 3, I think. He says it's a refresher. Yeah. Um, Bad Batch either should have been grittier or more like A Team. I think it just shouldn't have happened. Yeah, I think you should have just saved us the time and saved yourself the money and the shame and just told Dave Filoni, no, you're not. No, these guys are not getting their own series. I don't know what you think you're talking about here. I would really like to see a Clone Wars style animated series in the High Republic or Luke and OT characters post Return of the Jedi. Yes to the High Republic, no to Luke and characters post Return of the Jedi. Leave them alone. You fucked up. It's over. It's done. I get it. You fucked up. It's whatever. Just I'm already disappointed. How much more disappointed do you want me to be? With the High Republic, though, that is interesting because the acolytes, didn't really do it much justice. And it would be nice to see the Jedi be, I don't know, Jedi and do good things. And with the style of animation that we have with the Clone Wars, and even the advances that they made. I mean, one thing you could say about the Bad Batch is that it was gorgeous. Oh my god, it was beautiful. Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire. The animation style has gotten better. So I do think that having a High Republic series with that animation style, maybe following Avar Chris, Loden Great Store, my boy, before he passes away, unfortunately, you could do stuff like that. I just think they're scared to do it. I don't think they really want to do stuff like that. Da, da, da. I took a shot for every time you said her name. Ahsoka, yeah, Ahsoka Tano. Never heard more about Ahsoka fucking Tano. Uh, damn, Gus, shout out to you for paying the light bill, brother. I appreciate you. When do you think we'll see Omega in live? Oh, fucking God. I don't want to see her in live action. How I could just imagine Just the Mandoverse movie with Dave Filoni writing and directing, and you got Anakin and showing up as a Force ghost, and Luke and Ahsoka, and then Omega comes in. I'm here for my brother. Tick. I'm here with Rekka. It's like, oh God, you just couldn't. People just can't die in this franchise anymore, man. And everything's got to go from this to that. If it's in a video game, it's got to be in a show, and then it's got to be in a movie. If it's in a show, if it's live action, it's got to be in animated after. And if it's an animated, it's got to be in live action after. Oh my God, no, I don't want to see Omega in live. I don't want this to happen. When do I think it'll happen? Dave Filoni's Mandoverse movie. All right, now that you give me a heart attack with that first one, and who would you like to see play her? Oh my God, Zoe Bell would be good. I don't who the fuck is Zoe Bell? Zoe Bell. I've seen her before in yeah, The Hateful Eight. Okay, yeah. Sure, yeah. I don't know, and I don't care. How about that? I don't want Omega in live action. Thank you for the super chat, Gus, and the heart attack. That meant a lot. Thank you very much. I would love to see Luke meeting Rex. Imagine the possibilities. You guys just want me to die of member berries, don't you? I don't want to see Luke meeting Rex. Uh, Rex needs to die. Is he not still? Oh yeah, he fought in fucking Return of the Jedi. Oh my God, this franchise has just gone too far. Like we're just outside of creative ideas at this point. Of hey, you remember that guy from Return of the Jedi? Who? The old white guy who was in that one shot behind Han Solo when they took over the shield generator on Endor, the Forest Moon. This was after the second assault by the Ewoks who came and saved him. Yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah, that's Rex from Clone Wars. You remember him? God, I mean, these are the conversations that we need to have. Um, would you rather have Bad Batch? Or are you going show they tried the pilot? What? I guess Youngling show. They try to pilot in the Clone Wars. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Um, what other things were they kind of pitching in the Clone Wars that would have been interesting? There felt like a couple episodes that could have been pilots for the series. I mean, season 7 was a pitch of Bad Batch, and what were those two twins? Tracer and Mecha or something like that. I don't know. They were bad, and then they came into the bad. That's the Dave Filoni symptom, man. It's just I have a character in this show, I have it appear in this show. You're gonna like it because you remember him from that last show. The problem with Tracer and Mecha, or whatever the fuck their names are, is they weren't interesting. All right, they just weren't interesting. They weren't like I have tried watching that arc with Ahsoka and these twins maybe 3 times now, maybe four, and every time, I kid you not, about 15, 20 minutes into the first episode, I am knocked out. And then I wake up and I'm into the third episode and I don't know what's happening. So I'm done. I'm not trying with those arcs anymore. You turned me off from them, Dave. I want to see new stories in animation with new characters. I just want to see new animated series that's not the same shit I've seen before. Star Wars animation is kind of peak. I mean, they really do. I like Tales of the Jedi. I like Tales of the Empire. I don't like the Tales of the Jedi. I had 3 episodes about it. Let me rephrase it. I really didn't like Tales of the Jedi, but I like the premise. I really liked Tales of the Empire. I think they should continue with those kind of short stories because they do enhance the Star Wars universe in a way, and they don't take away from it like the Bad Batch does, where that runs on for 3 seasons, and you go, what did you really take away from that? Nothing at all. But with Tales of the Empire, you got meaningful exploration of Morgan Elsbeth's character and her tribe of witches explores the Force and explores the lore of Star Wars in a unique way. And then you got the continuation and resolution of Barriss Offee's story. Thought that was great. I really think that was a great way to approach that series. So I do think they need to keep going that route. But I'm with you, Gustavo. I'm tired of the Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch shit. It's all the same. Da, 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 da. Logan, what's his name? Who passed away? I have no idea. I get they fucked up, but I would like them to try at least make sense of the sequels, whether it's through animation or show. That's the thing is it's like, have you dug the hole so deep? Sorry, let me replay my B-roll because I have no quality of producing over here. They've dug the hole so deep with the sequel characters and kind of ruining Luke and everything and Han and Leia and just what you would expect from the story. It becomes a question of, do you really want more from that? And they've explored a little bit of it in things like the comic books and the books and everything like that. And now you have the Mandalorian showing Luke and everything, and Book of Boba Fett exploring him training Grogu. But it's not enough to really sink your teeth in and make you go, "I want to see only this." I think that ship has just sailed at this point. When you already know the ending to the story that you've always wanted to know, I don't really feel a need to fill in the gap at that point. You know, after The Last Jedi, I really didn't have any interest in what happened with Luke before and everything. Um, well, let me tell you, you're gonna love Tales of Ahsoka and Tales of Rex. I'm not even doubting that it's gonna happen at this point. I mean, Martez sister, Rafa sisters. All right, yeah, I don't know. I think Martez makes sense. Star Wars Visions is underrated. It's fine. It's fine. I like the first season. I didn't really watch much of the second season. I think we're getting a third this next year. It's just not enough to. It's one of those subsets within a subset of the fandom. You know, you got to be into anime to really like those shorts and everything. I like the Ninth Jedi one, but those are like odd watches to me. That's like a once every couple years I would put those on, really. Um, oh, I would love this a Balin episode. I had heard from someone, and I'm not confident of how reliable the source they are, but I mean, some of this was corroborated by other people that they do have animations of Balin skull for like a Clone Wars style animated thing. So I had assumed that meant that he was going to be in the second season of Tales of the Jedi with Morgan Elsbeth. Especially when we saw it was going to be Tales of the Empire and it was going to be Morgan Elsbeth, I immediately went, that's what they're talking about. They are going to have him in Tales of the Empire. Well, they didn't. So I don't know if that's for something else, if that's just a bad scoop or whatever. I mean, it's not a scoop; it's just something someone told me who claims they have that information. But yeah, I don't know. But I did hear that Balin would be in Star Wars animation in the future and everything like that. Um, but I would love to see his story just explored in general. I think his demeanor and his character is an interesting enough. It's interesting enough to merit a side story for him. You know, I mean, clearly we're getting that with Ahsoka season 2. Really curious how they're going to go about that. Um, the Tales series should have been 40-minute episodes and put arcs in one go. I was so disappointed with the Count Dooku thing. I know it's like an unpopular opinion because a lot of people kind of like that episode, but man, like Count Dooku didn't do anything interesting to me. It was just everything you already knew about Count. Even when him meeting Sidious at that one place, it's the same place they've met in every single meeting that we've ever seen them have. It's ridiculous. Like I would have loved to see Dooku not only leave the Jedi, but become a Sith. Find out that Sidious is Palpatine. You know, that should have really explored that in a meaningful way. But no, it's just lazy fucking writing. I was not a fan of that. Da, da, da. Yeah, it would depend if people wanted more from those films. I do because it bothers me when things in Star Wars are not explained, and I bet with some good writing they could make sense and expand. I do agree with that. I think there's something to Luke's Jedi Academy that we could explore. I just think the interest and the anger for what they've done with Luke is gone at this point. And I think a lot of people are just done with it. They're just like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Um, but yeah, gotta say for episode 3 though, I'm gonna wrap this stream up. Episode 3, Skeleton Crew. At the moment, what would I give it? I don't know, man. I'm this is still riding on a 7 out of 10 for me. You know, the last two episodes were like a 7.5 and a 7. This one is leaning more towards a 7.5. You know, this is better than episode 2, but it's about on par for episode 1, in my opinion, the premiere. So I think this is a 7.5 episode 3 for Skeleton Crew, and I like it. I'm excited for next week's episode. I'm hopeful they keep this quality going, but we'll see. I will try to have my review out for it tomorrow by 3 o'clock. I do work tomorrow, so it's probably going to be hard to do that, but I'm going to have it out before tomorrow night. And tomorrow night, I'm doing the Chatooine show, so be sure to tune into that tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time and hear my full breakdown of the Skeleton Crew series. And yeah, that was a solid episode. Thank you guys for tuning in for this stream. We'll be back next Tuesday night, right after episode 4 drops, to do this again. So I will see you all next time, and may the force be with you always.